They call it Fate-broke Citadel, though in the heavy silence of dawn, it feels less like a fortress and more like a challenge to the gods. It does not merely sit upon the land, it crowns it. Perched atop a jagged sheer of granite, the fortress looms over the valley like a brooding titan of stone. When the morning mist clings to the base, the massive structure appears to float, untethered from the earth, a ghost ship drifting on a sea of white. To an outsider, the walls are a geometric nightmare. Double rings of limestone quarried from the very mountain we stand on rise 40 feet, punctuated by cylindrical towers capped in slate. Below them, the moat is a dark ribbon of diverted river water, stagnant, deep, and reflecting the menacing silhouette of the battlements. To enter is to walk into the throat of a dragon. You must cross the timber drawbridge, where iron chains as thick as a man's torso groan in the wind, and pass through the barbican, a twisting passage designed to bleed you. High above, the murder holes wait, and ahead, the portcullis grins with teeth of iron-shod oak. But inside this belly of the beast, life churns. The outer bailey is a hive of industry, smelling of wood smoke, unwashed wool, and roasting meat. Sparks fly from the blacksmith's hammer, a rhythmic clang, clang, clang that serves as the heartbeat of the citadel. And at the center rises the keep, the donjon, a square tower soaring 100 feet into the air, housing the great hall. It is a cavernous space designed to intimidate, where hammer-beam rafters vanish into the gloom, and a fireplace wide enough to roast an ox fights the eternal chill. It is my home, a sensory experience of contrasts, grand yet claustrophobic, magnificent yet cold. The wind always howls through the arrow slits, a low, mournful whistle that underscores the distant chatter of the court. The air is thick with burning pine, and the metallic tang of polished steel. The mist coming off the weeping ford gets into your bones here. It chills the marrow. I've worn this plate for 20 years, and I still can't tell if the cold comes from the river or the steel. You ask how I came to serve as Lord Commander of the Red Shield? I was a squire once to a fumbling fool of a man named Sir Ashford Duncan. My youth was spent serving his whims, armor-bearer, shield-bearer, wine-bearer, but I watched. I learned to maintain a blade until it sang, and to calm a warhorse when the blood scent filled the air. At the Battle of Long Hill Gate, Sir Duncan fell. He had knighted me only hours before his heart stopped. I didn't inherit this command. I inherited the dead men's boots who stood here before me. They call me the Iron Weir. It's a poet's name, but I accept the meaning. I am a dam. I exist to stop things from flowing where they shouldn't. I earned the patch over my left eye at the Battle of Broken Oars. A pike took the eye before I even drew my blade. Most men would have fallen. Maybe I did for a moment, but when I stood back up, the world looked different. The court wizards whisper that I have the sight. They say the loss gave me a window into the threads of fate. Rubbish! What I have is clarity. When you have one eye, you learn to look twice as hard. You learn that the water ripples differently when an army marches upstream. You learn that the birds go quiet exactly 3 minutes before the first arrow flies. That isn't magic. That's survival. Now I stand here holding Requiem, cold steel, heavy as sin, watching the water. The river remembers every man who tried to cross it. And as long as I draw breath, it will remember that Evander Loch was the rock that broke the tide. But today the river is silent. I stand on the parapet of the North Tower, my knuckles white against the stone. Beside me, my lieutenant, Sir Cailan, lowers his spyglass. His hand is shaking. I have known Cailan for a decade. I have never seen his hand shake. Lord Commander, he whispers, the word catching in his throat. It has no end. I do not need the glass. I can feel it, the vibration in the granite under my boots. On the horizon, where the valley floor meets the edge of the wormwood forest, the world has turned grey. It is not an army of men. Men display banners. Men light campfires. Men possess fear. This is a tide of iron and ash, a legion so vast it blots out the green of the grass and the brown of the mud. They move with a terrifying synchronized silence. Thousands upon thousands of obsidian helms, pikes towering like a dead forest, and beasts of burden that are taller than mammoths, draped in chains. There are no drums, just the unified thud, thud, thud of 100,000 boots crushing the earth. I have fought wildlings, rebels, and rival kingdoms. I have never seen this. It is a force of erasure. If they reach the walls of Fate-broke, they will not siege us. They will simply pile their dead against the stone until they walk over the ramparts and drown us in bodies. "Close the gates," Kalen says, his voice rising in panic. "Pull up the drawbridge. Man the murder holes." "No," I say softly. Kalen stares at me. "Sir, look at the width of their column, Kalen. They have siege engines the size of cathedrals rolling in the rear. If we stay behind these walls, we are rats in a bucket waiting to be drowned." I turn from the ledge, but my face remains stone. The clarity is upon me. I see the thread. It is thin, razor sharp and dripping with blood. "Sound the muster, I command. Bring the red shield to the courtyard." All of them mounted. The outer bailey, usually a hive of noise, is deathly quiet as the 300 knights of the red shield assemble. The horses are restless, sensing the unnatural predator approaching the valley. The men look at the gates, then at me. They know the odds. They can hear the ground shaking. I sit atop my black destrier, Brimstone, and look over them. These are not fresh recruits. These are men with scars, men with debts, men who have bled for me. I do not raise my voice to a shout. I speak to the silence. "You feel it," I say. My single eye sweeps across their faces, the earth shaking, the cold air. "You know what comes for us?" I draw Requiem. The sound of the steel sliding from the scabbard rings out, sharp and pure. Up on the ridge, there is an army that has forgotten the taste of fear. They believe they are a flood. They believe this fortress is nothing more than a stone in the stream, easily washed away. I point the tip of my sword toward the closed portcullis. If we stay here, we die hungry. We die trapped. We die on their terms. I trot Brimstone forward, pacing the line. "I do not ask you to live today. I do not promise you wealth or glory or songs sung in the taverns of the capital. I ask you to buy time. I ask you to be the jagged rock in the throat of the beast." I stop and turn to face the gate. We ride out to meet them at the narrowest point of the valley, between the river and the sheer cliffs. We deny them their width. We force them to fight us man to man, inch by bloody inch. We will break their vanguard so badly that they will pause. And in that pause, the innocent people in the valley behind us will escape. I look back at them one last time. I am Evander Locke. I am the Iron Weir, and I am riding to my death. Who rides with me? For a heartbeat, there is silence. Then a single sword scrapes from its sheath, then another. Then 300 blades flash in the grey light, a forest of steel rising to answer the call. "Look upon me and know the end of your myth. I am Lord Evander Locke. I am the jagged truth from which all lesser legends are cast. While others are born of soft flesh and warm blood, I was hewn from the freezing dark, forged of brine and stone, tempered by the crushing weight of the keep. I do not tire. I do not yield. Like the rising tide, I am inevitable. I was birthed for the cacophony of war, and I harbor but one singular, terrible purpose." They built their walls upon the land, with trembling heart and shaking hand. They pray to gods of sun and light, to save them from the coming night. But we are forged in colder keeps, where mercy dies and silence weeps. We are the salt that rots the steel, the crushing weight that all must feel. Like the ocean, it does not beg the shore, it simply takes a little more. It does not bargain, pause, or bleed. We are the rock, and they the reed. So draw your blades and hold your breath. Tonight we bring the drowning death. For I am the breaker, and you the sea. Now vanish them from history. I am Lord Evander Locke, and I have one question. Will you ride with me? Stand with me! Hold fast! My men were not merely soldiers. They were walking fortifications, encased in the most resilient plate the forges could yield. Their pauldrons were fluted to catch and shatter enemy blades, their rear braces articulated to allow the swift, fluid dance of the kill, and their vambraces tempered to turn aside the heaviest blow. Upon every cuirass the seal of our house was etched deep, a warning in iron. We stood as the absolute embodiment of strength and bloody honor. Lock your kites, and prepare to break them! We face the Aurelian horde. They are the bastard children of King MacGregor's vanity. For 30 years, the Mad King viewed his subjects not as people, but as produce, keeping the ripe and discarding the bruised. Anyone deemed unworthy, the poor, the sick, the criminals, the political dissenters, was shackled and cast away to Ostraka, a desolate rocky island beyond the mist, from which no soul ever returned. The boatmen who ferried the supplies, barely enough to keep the exiles alive, whispered of what was happening in the dark. The exiles did not die, they devolved. They fractured into feral clans, warring over scraps, sharpening bone when steel failed, and forgetting the language of civilization. But MacGregor saw potential in the rot. He realized he had not built a prison, but a kennel. He returned to the island not with mercy, but with ships and a promise. Fight for me, and you shall eat. He emptied the island, pooling every savage clan into one mass, giving him a limitless supply of bodies to throw at the Five Kingdoms. From a distance, MacGregor tries to hide their savagery. He forces them to wear tattered yellow tabards, a mockery of Aurelian gold, to give the illusion of a uniformed army. But up close, the illusion shatters. They carry no uniform steel. One man wields a rusted naval boarding axe, the next a spear made of driftwood and sharpened flint, the next a mace. They have no plate, no chain. They wear boiled leather, scraps of net, and armor stripped from the corpses of better men. They do not block. They absorb blows with their bodies. They have no discipline, no shield walls, no phalanxes. They are a swarm. They rely on crushing the enemy through sheer weight of numbers, climbing over their own dead to reach the front line. Look at them, MacGregor's golden army. They are not warriors. They are a sickness he scraped from the bottom of his boots. He has dressed wolves in silk and expects them to march, but they know only how to swarm. They have no honor, no formation, and no fear of death, for they have already lived in hell. They are sloppy. They are jagged. They will not hold a line. They will simply spill forward like a broke dam. They do not mean to defeat us with skill. They mean to bury us under the weight of their own corpses. MacGregor thinks he has brought an army. He is wrong. He has brought us a slaughter. We make our stand where the valley narrows, a geological choke point where the black rock cliffs lean in to kiss the banks of the Weeping Ford. It is a place of ancient slaughter, and today it will drink its fill once more. Behind me, my men of the Red Shield are a wall of polished steel, their kite shields overlapping like the scales of a great silver serpent. I can hear the rhythmic breathing of the men, the wet snort of the horses, and the metallic clink of mail. Ahead, the yellow stain of the Aurelian horde spills around the bend. They are a carpet of filth. From this distance, the yellow tabards MacGregor forced upon them look like a field of dying mustard weed. As they draw closer, the smell hits us, a rancid cocktail of salt rot, stagnant waste, and the copper tang of madness. They aren't marching, they are surging. There is no cadence to their step, only a frantic, stumbling rush as the ones in the back push the ones in the front toward our blades. Steady, I growl, my voice vibrating inside my closed visor. Through the narrow slit of my helm, the world is a sliver of grey and gold. Wait for the ripple. The horde sees us. A collective shriek rises from 10,000 scarred throats, a sound devoid of language, a primal howl of the discarded. They break into a sprint, their rusted axes and sharpened pikes held high. They are a landslide of meat and desperation. Shields! I roar. The front rank of the Red Shield drops into a crouch, slamming the points of their kite shields into the soft earth. The second rank steps up, bracing their shoulders against the backs of the first. We are no longer men. We are a dam of iron. Arm these shields, boys. For crown, glory, and blood fun. The impact is not the sound of a battle. It is the sound of a ship splintering against a reef. The first wave of the horde doesn't even swing their weapons. They simply collide with our shields, the sheer momentum of the crowd behind them crushing their rib cages against our plate. Hold! Hold! I feel the shock go through Brimstone's legs, through my stirrups, and into my marrow. A man with a face a map of keloid scars leaps atop the shield wall, his fingers clawing for the vision slits of my helm. I don't waste a breath. I bring the crossguard of Requiem up, smashing it into his teeth, and then drive the blade through his chest as he falls. Bloody amateurs. It is like stabbing a bag of wet sand. They pour over us. They crawl under the horses. They die. But for every one we butcher, 3 more scramble over the cooling corpse. My arm is a piston. Stab. Twist. Withdraw. Bash. The golden ticket, MacGregor promised them, is a one-way passage to the mud. Kalen! The flank! I shout, spotting a group of exiles trying to scale the cliffside to drop onto our heads. I see them, my lord! Kalen bellows. He signals the reserve. A volley of crossbow bolts hisses through the air, pinning the climbers to the granite like insects on a board. But the weight is unbearable. The horde is so thick now that I can no longer see the ground. I am sitting atop a horse that is wading through a sea of yellow-clad bodies. Requiem is slick with gore, the hilt becoming greasy in my gauntlet. Then the sea parts. From the center of the swarm, a path opens. The frantic exiles scramble away, trampling each other to clear a lane. Walking slowly, unbothered by the chaos, comes a figure that doesn't belong in this filth. He wears gold, not the tattered yellow of the exiles, but true polished Aurelian gold. His armor is ornate, embossed with lions and sunbursts, and his cape trails behind him, untouched by the blood on the ground. He carries a mace topped with a crown of thorns. King MacGregor's hand, the High Justiciar. He stops 20 paces from me.
Lord Commander Locke, I presume. Hope your manners are better than your aim.
His visor up to reveal a face of pale, aristocratic boredom.
You're making a mess of my new silk, and I haven't even started my day. Don't you think it's time to admit that even the hardest rock eventually turns to sand?
He looks at the mountain of bodies between us, as if it were a minor inconvenience on a stroll through the palace gardens.
I'm here to witness the demolition, not clean up the rubble.
He calls out, his voice thin and melodic over the screams of the dying.
Well, Locke, it seems even the mighty fall. I will see you on the field.
I pull Requiem from the throat of an exile and point the dripping tip at his throat. The sand is what's left after I've ground you to dust, I reply, my voice a low rasp. Are you here to talk? Or are you here to die in the mud with the rest of your gold? The Justiciar smiles, and it is the coldest thing I have ever seen. He raises his mace, and behind him, the heavy thud of those massive chain-draped beasts begins again. Neither I am here to witness the demolition. My name is Lord Evander Locke, Commander of the armies of the Red Shield, General of the Fate-broke legions, loyal servant to the true king, father to none son, and to a shadowy. And I will have my blood. I tighten my reins. I knew a man once who said, "Death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back." I wonder, will you smile? The Justiciar's smile is the last thing I see before the world dissolves into thunder. He reins his horse back, disappearing behind a wall of yellow tabards. And the ground betrays us. It isn't a vibration anymore. It is a heave. The pebbles on the riverbank dance like frightened insects. Brace! I bellow, my voice tearing through the raw scrape of my throat. Lances up! Aim for the eyes! They emerge from the mist like mountains deciding to walk. There are 3 of them in the vanguard. Colossal, shaggy beasts, their fur matted with mud and ice, towering 20 feet at the shoulder. But MacGregor hasn't just sent animals, he has sent siege towers. Enormous iron plates are bolted directly into their flesh, crude and rusting, weeping red sores where the metal bites the skin. Their tusks are sheathed in jagged steel, extending their reach by 6 feet of razor-sharp death. On their backs, wooden howdahs sway, packed with archers raining filth-tipped arrows down upon us. They do not roar, they trumpet, a high, shattering scream that cracks the air and sends the horses into a frenzy. We aren't rattled, rather amused. Hold the line! Kalen screams from my left. Do not break! We are the rock, they are the landslide. The first beast hits the center of our line. Physics is a cruel god. 3 knights of the Red Shield, men I have known for years, Sir Gallion, young Thomas, and the veteran Harlan, are simply erased. Their horses are swept aside like driftwood, their armor crumpling under the impact of the steel-shod tusks. The beast doesn't stop. It plows through, tossing 1,000 pounds of warhorse into the air as if it were a rag doll. The impact throws me against the pommel of my saddle. Brimstone stumbles, his hooves scrabbling for purchase on the slick stones. The legs! I scream, swinging Requiem in a wide arc. Hamstring them! The clarity snaps into focus. I see it. The beast is a fortress, yes. But every fortress has a gate. The iron plating on its legs is heavy, but at the joints, the knees, the ankles, the leather straps are frayed. MacGregor's haste, his sloppiness. Red Shield, with me! I kick Brimstone forward, not away from the beast, but under it. It is madness. I am riding into a tunnel of matted fur and stamping tree trunk legs. The smell is overpowering, musk, rot, and old blood. Above me, The belly of the monster hangs like a dark storm cloud. A massive hoof, the size of a shield, crashes down inches from my stirrup, splashing mud into my visor. I don't flinch. I see the tendon, thick as a hawser, straining with the weight of the beast. I stand in my stirrups. I grip Requiem with both hands. I do not slash, I chop. Crack! The blade bites deep, shearing through tough hide and snapping the tendon with a sound like a whip crack. The beast shrieks, a sound so loud my ears pop. It lurches, its back leg giving way. The mountain teeters. Move! I shout, hauling on the reins to spin Brimstone out from the collapsing shadow. We scramble clear just as the behemoth crashes to the earth. The impact sends a shockwave through the mud that knocks men off their feet 20 paces away. The howdah on its back splinters, spilling archers into the muck like spilled grain. Before they can rise, my men are on them. The red shield descends, maces rising and falling with grim industrial efficiency. But there are two more. One has broken through our left flank, scattering the line. The other is turning, its trunk lashing out like a flail, catching a knight, Sir Donald, and hurling him into the river. I wheel Brimstone around, my chest heaving, the cold air burning my lungs. The line is fractured. We are no longer a wall. We are islands in a sea of yellow. Reform! I roar, pointing Requiem at the fallen beast to show them it can bleed. They are meat, just like the rest. Cut them down. The men rally. They see the giant bleeding in the mud. They see the fear in the eyes of the Golden, horde who thought their monsters were invincible. I lock eyes with Kalen across the chaotic gap. He nods, raising his shield. We are bloodied. We are battered. But we are still here. For the Citadel! I charge the second beast. The roar of the dying mammoth, the smell of blood, and the biting cold of the valley suddenly vanished. They were replaced by a static hum and a wash of neon blue light.
Jake, you still on?
Yeah, man!
That was sick! The physics on the mammoth takedown? Insane! I'm half tempted to restart Chapter 1 again. Minus the intro, obviously. Skip the cutscenes! Are you down?
Only if I get to be Locke. I want to try that parry mechanic on the Vanguard again.
Deal! Loading it up!
I am standing on the parapet of the North Tower. My knuckles are white against the stone. Beside me, Sir Kalen lowers his spyglass. His hand is shaking. Lord Commander, he whispers. It has no end. I blink. A sudden, violent sense of vertigo washes over me. I have done this. The thought is not a vague notion. It is a physical weight. I know exactly what Kalen is going to say next. I know the vibration in the granite under my boots before it happens. I do not need the glass, I say. The words tumble out of my mouth, but they feel scripted. Hollow. I can feel it. The vibration in the granite. I stop. My heart is racing, but not from fear of the horde. It is fear of me. Why does the air taste like recycled breath? Why do I know that if I look left, a bird will fly past the third Merlin in exactly 2 seconds? I look left. The bird flies. Sir? Kalen asks. He looks confused. I was supposed to say something else. I was supposed to talk about the rats in the bucket. I grip the stone ledge. This all seemed terrifyingly familiar, I mutter. The script breaking. I knew each act before it began. Each vowel and each sway of the tree. Were the wizards right about my foresight?
Yo, did you hear that?
Hear what?
The dialogue! He just said something about the wizards and foresight! I don't remember that line in the first playthrough. I thought he just gives the rats in a bucket speech.
Maybe it's an alternate take? Or it changes based on your difficulty setting?
Maybe?
Dude, are the characters AI enabled? Like generative dialogue?
Nah, man! I read the devlogs. The developer is some small indie outfit in Sweden. They barely had the budget for the motion capture, let alone a neural engine. It's all scripted.
Weird. Okay, skipping to the courtyard.
A momentary pause washes over me. Then I am jolted back to my senses. I am atop Brimstone in the outer bailey. The 300 knights are assembled. I open my mouth to give the order to open the gates, but my arm, my right arm, jerks upward of its own accord. Requiem slides from its sheath. I didn't do that. I stare at my own hand. A ghostly force is pulling my limbs. I feel a tug to the left and Brimstone pirouettes in a circle. A tug to the right and the horse rears. It feels less like command and more like possession. Was I in control? I whisper, the steam rising from my visor. Or were the strings being pulled by another? I look up at the sky. Usually it is grey and heavy with snow, but today I feel eyes. Not the eyes of the gods. Something closer. Something pressing against the very fabric of the air. And then I hear it. It is not the voice of the enemy. It is not the wind. It is a faint voice booming from the heavens, yet sounding tinny and distant, as if spoken through a metal tube.
Stop spinning him in circles, Jake. You look like an idiot. Charge the gate!
I freeze. The knights around me are frozen too, looping in their idle animations, horses stamping the same patch of mud over and over.
I'm trying to test the sensitivity. It feels laggy.
A second voice booms. A voice of a young giant. I look directly up, past the banners, past the clouds, into the invisible ceiling of my world. Jake, I say.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Mike, did you say my name?
No?
Who is Jake, and why can I hear you?
Mike, I think the indie dev might have accidentally coded a ghost.
Answer me! You speak of sensitivity and lag while I bleed in the mud. Show yourselves, sky demons!
Was that an echo? Mike, look at the chat log! There's no text! He's lip-syncing perfectly to the audio. That's not a pre-rendered animation.
It's a developer Easter egg, dude. You went AFK too long, so they programmed a fourth wall break. Batman, Arkham Asylum did it like 15 years ago. Just press X to shut him up.
Press it. Press the cross mark, peasant Jake. See if silence saves you from the truth.
Okay, that's creepy. Unplug the console.
He knows what the buttons are? No! Wait! I'm Jake!
Jake, you possess the voice of a child, yet you wield the power of a god. You speak of restarting. You speak of chapters. Why? Why are we back at the dawn? We fought. I felt the mammoth's blood on my hands. I felt the cold, and then darkness. And now I stand here, clean, with the same breath in my lungs as an hour ago. Is this hell? Have I failed the gods?
It's a game! A video game! I reloaded the save file.
You hold time in a box?
Dude, stop talking to the NPC. You're gonna brick your console.
Quiet, Sky Demon! The peasant Jake speaks! The other one, the skeptic. He is the one who suggested skipping my life. I heard him!
I'm sorry, okay? We wanted to play the battle again. It was cool. You were awesome.
I am entertainment? My pain? The freezing mist? The fear in Kaylin's eyes? I feel the cold, Jake. I feel the weight of Requiem. I remember the smell of my mother's kitchen. I remember the first time I killed a man.
Your code, your graphics, you're just data.
Do you have code for my regret? Do you have data for the ghost of the boy I was?
Not real? What? I can't change the code. I just play the game.
Lord Commander? Kaylin's voice was distorted, slowed down like a warping record. The gate we must... The world is breaking. Because I have stopped the flow. I have refused the river. If I am code, Jake, then rewrite me. You control the strings. The Horde comes. I know this. I know they have beasts of iron and wool. I know we win, but I know Kaylin dies. I remember it from the last time. Save him. If you are the god of this box, if you can turn time back, then give me a weapon that does not break. Give me the foresight you spoke of. Do not just watch me bleed for your amusement. Fight with me.
Mike, I think we have to play. He asked for help.
Then play it better. Wake up, Kaylin. The gods are listening, and today we are going off script. Open the gates! Well, Jake, we have an army to kill. Are you ready?